Another Behringer announcement arrived this week. Roland pushed the 4th Jupiter X upgrade this year, and we're only in August. Welcome to the rant. I can't remember how News at 10 goes, but there you go. So this week's rant is entitled yet another Behringer announcement. But before we get into that, let's look at the newest firmware announcement from Roland relating to the Jupiter X and XM. Yes, you heard me right in the intro. This is the 4th. That's not 1, that's not 2, that's 3. It's the 4th Jupiter X firmware release this year for the platform. And 3 of the releases have included functionality upgrades to the synth itself. So, is this latest one something you should be doing? The latest release, version 1.50, which I've yet to install on my Jupiter X, I might add, makes a series of changes to the step sequencer. And I'm going to be honest and say, step sequencer is something I really haven't got into on the X at the moment. But it does make a series of changes, and it adds a single step feature, which makes it easy to select and play single tones from one of the modules installed on the X. So rather than building a scene, if you like, which is how the X works, you can effectively take one single tone and you can manipulate that through that. Now, if like me, I've got to be honest, I've only just got round to installing 1.4.3, which was the patch to allow the editor to work. You know, do you really need to upgrade soon? The first thing I would say is that Roland have seen it as necessary to update and reissue the owner's manual for the synthesizer. Now, manufacturers don't normally go through the process of reissuing the owner's manual. They normally make addendum updates. And so at this point, there must be sufficient in changes to the way the Jupiter X works for Roland to consider reissuing the base documentation. The second thing that I've often, and I want to play single parts from a specific module. So rather than have a big scene, I want just to play a Jupiter 8 patch or a Juno patch or something, or just the piano, without having a big scene constructed. And this single mode seems to allow you to do that, which I'm quite welcoming, I have to be honest, because I find having to put a scene together and then mute parts out is a bit of a faff. I'm not saying it's undoable, but it's just a bit of a pain. So this, hopefully, and I haven't read the detail of this yet, hopefully you can just select a single tone and play it. So, should you install the firmware upgrade? The 2 key changes to the keyboard setup mean, for me, this upgrade is a recommendation. And if you need help with the upgrade process, I'll put a link in the video down below, because I did the upgrade for 1.4. something a little while back and posted it to the channel. How I did the upgrade, it worked through quite well, including the gotcha over the USB dongle. So if you want to follow that and just get around the gotcha, link below. See you in a minute. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. So back to the main subject of this video. Behringer have released 2 teasers on social media this week. The first is a PCB alignment diagram, where the PCBs to build the synth are shown located, and where all the various buttons and knobs and faders will be located on the keyboard and the positions. Now, tell me that this doesn't look suspiciously like a Roland Jupiter 8 clone. Now, I thought that they would be bringing a Roland Jupiter 8 to the party in some format, given the status of the Jupiter 8. But maybe they're leading us up the garden path with this small amount of colour that appears to be the Jupiter 8 colours in the buttons. Now, although many have commented against this social media post, all Behringer has stated is the journey has started. That's a direct quote from the media post. So if you go hunting around the internet for more information on this project, as at the date of this video, the bottom line is there isn't any. So don't bother looking. Just a whole bunch of commentators, just like me, saying, ooh, that looks like a Jupiter 8. The bottom line is, with many of these things, a number of YouTube channels are doing clickbait, and they will say, Behringer launched the Jupiter 8, just to get you to click on their channel and view their video. The bottom line is, I'm not doing that. I want you to watch the video because it actually has some genuine content in it. And unfortunately, with the Jupiter 8, if it is a Jupiter 8, there is no content. So I've said it. Now, the second picture appears to be the completed prototype case of a Behringer Pro 16 with the tag prototype completed. Firmware development in full force. So what do we take that to mean? A little later in the week, another post was released stating the Pro 16 uses 6,000 individual parts and it has been in development in the Skunk Works for 5 years. The reimagined version employee secretary of all 3 revisions of the original architecture, that's a mouthful, isn't it, has been reimagined and upgraded to include 16 voices, multi-timbrality, and a usable LCD screen. I said a few rants ago, I love them or loathe them, Behringer seem to be far more active at the moment with a range of reimagined legacy synths due to hit the stores in the next few years. That, of course, is assuming they can solve their supply chain issues. I received an email this week stating that the item I had ordered had not arrived, and the retailer could not onward ship it to me because they just didn't have it, and they would supply me with a new date for shipping at some point in the future. I'm still waiting, and I don't expect to see this piece of equipment that I've ordered for many weeks, and the simple reason is that all manufacturers are suffering from a global supply issue with chips, not the ones that you have salt and vinegar on, the silicon version that run most modern gadgets. Behringer put out a statement earlier this year. Big car manufacturers have put out statements saying that they're having problems with chip shortages, and some have actually suspended production of various car models to be able to accommodate the fact they don't have the component parts. Synth manufacturers are no less susceptible to this, so if there are new synths that are coming down the line and the chips haven't already been secured for production, the likelihood is production will be delayed. That's reality of the whole COVID-19 and global shutdown and now supply chain issues that seem to be hitting everything. On that note, I'm going to say live long and prosper, and I will see you on the next rant.